Before you understand why there's a war, you have to see who's standing in it. Once he was the most beautiful thing God ever made. Not a soldier, not a servant, the one who stood closest to the throne, wearing every precious stone that exists, like it had been cut for exactly him. A crown of light, a staff that burned without ever being consumed. Entire choirs of the enormous and the terrifying, burning wheels of eyes, six-winged fire, took their pitch from him. Because for a long time, there was nothing in him worth doubting. He looked at himself once too often, decided the light in the room was his, and in an instant that took no time at all by heaven's clock, he fell from the highest place that exists into a war he is still fighting. Not a single moment of fighting back is described anywhere in the text. Just falling, armor cracking as it goes, jewels working themselves loose one by one, wings losing their color feather by feather, until what finally lands is barely recognizable as what stood in that court a moment before. This isn't the story you already know, though. That one ended with exile. This one doesn't. Because somewhere in this same text, there's a second fall waiting for him. And depending on how carefully you read where it sits in the story, it may not have happened yet. He didn't spend the centuries since his fall the way you'd expect. No throne, no kingdom carved out of the dark to rule in spite. The text never once shows him seated anywhere. It shows him walking. There's a scene, one of the strangest in the whole of that Older Testament, where the sons of God present themselves before the Lord, and walking in among them, uninvited but not turned away, is a figure the text calls simply Hasatan. Not a name yet, a title. The accuser, the one who opposes. God asks him directly what he's been doing with his time.
To and fro upon the earth, walking back and forth across it.
Not conquering it, wandering it. Then God points to a man, faithful, blameless. And the accuser doesn't attack him outright. He argues a case, the way a prosecutor argues a case he already expects to win.
Of course the man is faithful. You've protected everything he has. Take it away and see what's left standing.
Permission is granted. Everything the man has is gone within a single storm. And still the accuser doesn't gloat, doesn't strike out on his own initiative. He returns, reports, waits to be told what happens next. This is who he's become. Not a ruler, a patient case builder, walking the world's courtrooms, looking for the one argument that will finally hold. He watches marriages fail over a sentence that didn't need to be said. He watches a father bury a son who trusted him right up until the moment he shouldn't have. He watches a friendship end over a rumor neither side bothered to check first. Small doors, ordinary doors, the kind nobody bothers to guard, because nobody imagines something that quiet could be dangerous. He doesn't cause all of it. He doesn't need to. He only has to notice which doors are already unlocked and wait outside them, patient in a way nothing with a body could ever afford to be. There's a moment in all that waiting where he looks back once toward a light he'll never be permitted to stand in front of again. It isn't regret. It's closer to a man checking one last time that a door he already knows is locked is still locked. Then he turns around and doesn't look back again. And here's the part of the story that gets put in the wrong place almost every time it's told. This next scene, the one you're about to see, doesn't open the account of his fall. It sits near the very end of it, in the last book, inside the final chapter of the war, not the first one, which raises an uncomfortable possibility. The fall everyone assumes already happened long ago at the beginning of everything might not be the last one. A woman appears in the sky, wrapped in more light than a human eye should be able to hold. The moon somehow beneath her feet, 12 stars set around her head like a crown no hand ever made. She is in the pains of labor, crying out to give birth. Something enormous waits beneath her, patient, the instant she's shown to us. He isn't guessing where the child will be born. He's already there. His tail alone, dragging across that sky, pulls a third of the stars down with it. Not soldiers he recruited, angels who simply fell the way anything falls near something already falling. He isn't there to frighten her. He's there to end what she's about to give birth to, the moment it takes its first breath. But the child is taken from him anyway, caught up the instant it's born to the throne itself, out of reach before he can close the distance. Whatever the sky sent him down to stop, the sky closes its hand around first. On the other side of that same field of light, an army that never asked to be one begins quietly to stand. No one gives a visible order. There doesn't need to be one. The line simply straightens, wing by wing, the way something enormous and patient finally decides it's had enough waiting. War breaks out. Not a duel, not two commanders trading blows. The text gives it one line and moves on, so we won't pretend to know more than it does. Light against dark. Wings wide enough to blot out whole constellations, colliding with wings that have never once flinched. A strike of pure light meets pure shadow, and for one frozen half-second, everything in the frame, feathers, ash, something that might be armor, hangs in the air, weightless, before any of it is allowed to fall. A third of heaven's own stars turned traitor, thrown against what's left standing. The sky itself doesn't tear so much as it fractures, the way old glass fractures. One clean line, and then, all at once, everywhere. And for the length of exactly one sentence, one line in the oldest war record ever written, it doesn't say who's winning. Then it says the only thing that matters. He is not strong enough. Not defeated in single combat, not outfought. There simply isn't room for him in heaven anymore. The way a body finally rejects something it can no longer hold, all at once, without a fight worth describing. The great dragon is cast out. That ancient serpent called the devil and Satan, the one who has deceived the whole world, thrown down. And everything that fell with him, thrown down beside him. It is finished in less time than it takes to describe it. The first time he fell into somewhere with no name yet, no witnesses, no clock running anywhere nearby. Because heaven, remember, existed outside time to begin with. There was nothing yet to measure it against. This fall is different. This time, for the first time anywhere in the story, the text hands him something he's never had before. A deadline. He knoweth that he hath but a short time. That line is nearly 2,000 years old, written centuries before anyone alive today existed, describing, with unsettling precision, exactly what you just watched. He doesn't land defeated, he lands furious. And something that has just been told for certain that its time is now finite doesn't become gentler. It becomes urgent.
He turns on her first. The one he couldn't reach in the sky. The one he's been waiting for since before she gave birth. She's given a way out, wings, from somewhere unexpected, lifting her clear before he can close the last of the distance, carrying her somehow just beyond his reach. The way something always seems to arrive from exactly the direction he wasn't watching. He watches the space where she was, and there's nothing left there to reach. He tries to drown the ground beneath her, and the ground itself refuses him, opening its own mouth to swallow what he sends, as though even the dirt has decided this time whose side it's on. So he does the only thing left available to a being with no time remaining and nowhere left to climb. He widens the target. Not her. He can't reach her anymore. Her child, then, already carried somewhere he can't follow, out of reach the moment it drew its first breath. So the target widens again. Everyone who shares her blood, whether they ever asked to be counted among her family or not. Then everyone who shares her side of an argument older than any of them, one they may not even know they're already part of. Then the text says simply, the rest of her seed. Everyone left who still keeps to what she believed, whether they ever stood near her or not. That's not one hero he's hunting, that's everyone who's left.
There's no throne left to take, no war left that can be won the way the last one might have been, if he'd only been a little stronger, a little sooner. No version of this story where he tries again and wins. He didn't lose this war because he ran out of anger. He lost it because heaven simply stopped being an option, permanently. The way a door doesn't just close, but stops existing, stops being a door at all. Which means the fury that used to have somewhere to go, a throne to resent, a light he used to stand closer to than anyone, has nowhere left to climb toward, except down. He isn't looking for heaven anymore. He's looking for whoever's left.